Raise these up just a little bit. It's an honor to be here. I've met a lot of wonderful people. I think to Miss Olson, Miss Ingram, and then actually over in the corner over there I have a very special lady to me, one of my teammates' mothers who I actually lost in Iraq. Her name's Debbie Lee. It's Mama to me, but Mom, I love you. It's not only the soldiers who pay the ultimate sacrifice because, once it's said and done and it's over, we're done. There's nothing left of us. We don't care. I tell all my guys when we head out the door, they're like, I get questions. How do you do this? How do you keep going back time after time? I'm like, I forget who I am. I said, I hang my hat, hang everything else on the wall at the house when I go overseas and I become somebody else. That enables me to do the things that I do. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes in between. A lot of this stuff, everybody likes to pretend that war is black and white. It's not. There's a gray area. And being a Navy SEAL, that's the world that I lived in. Okay? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Afghanistan. Normally when I talk to people when they're asking me about Navy SEALs and stuff like that, if you have the tip of the spear, a lot of military units that like to refer to themselves as that. Well, we're the razor's edge. That was our job. And in Afghanistan, when they say, most of the time we go after the head of the snake, going after bin Laden's like going after a dragon, okay? He's so protected and so loved, and there's a ring around him that stretches for miles and miles. So once anybody locates us in our position, he's automatically moved. Okay? I like to say that C stands for Sea, Air, and Land Specialists. That's what we do. No matter where on the planet someone's hiding, we'll come get you. This is the one guy that we've unfortunately been able to nab. A lot of that has to be political. And I'm going to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, I am very blunt, and I don't lie, and I will tell you how it is. And if you don't like it, you can talk to me later about it. I really don't. We'll see how that goes. But in 2005, I was sent to Afghanistan. I'd done a couple of 2 tours before then. I wouldn't consider myself senior, but I knew exactly what my job was. I was, kill the enemy. That's what I did. That's what I was good at. I'm not a hero. I appreciate the fact that people say that and stuff like that, but that title needs to be pushed to somebody else. I'm not. I'm just a patriot. I'm an American. I'm a Texan. And those roots run deep with me. I'm 6th generation, and it's customary in my family that every male in the family serves his country. You have to do it. You serve your country before. Thank you. You have to serve your country before you can exploit it. My father once said, if you're going to take something, earn something, make a living off this country, you need to give back to it. And that's the way we did it, Then at 14, we decided, I have an older brother, he's 7 minutes older than I am. He's like, hey, I know what we're going to do. We're going to be Navy SEALs. I'm like, what is that? He's like, that's great. We get to blow stuff up and shoot guns and run around, this, that, and the other. I just want y'all to know that on TV, the propaganda on the Discovery Channel, that's real sexy looking. But when you get to do it in real life, it's not. Okay? There is nothing cool about being in. Contrary to popular belief, Navy SEALs do not like cold water. Okay? And we don't like to have sand everywhere on top of us. And I don't like to sit somewhere for 5 days staring at a tree waiting for somebody to drive past me. That's the job. That's what you pay me for. And that's what I was good at. So for the last decade, I've been a Navy SEAL. I got sent to Afghanistan. I'll get straight to the point. I had been out there for a few months, and my main job was to track down and locate and either kill or capture a man named Ahmad Shah. He was a high-ranking individual in bin Laden's army, and he had been creating a lot of havoc on the Paki-Afghani border. And everyone knows the deal about Pakistan. We can't go into their borders and whatever. Just depends on who's sneakier than the other. I'll leave it at that. But anyways, they sent myself, Michael Murphy, and I just want to make one correction. I started with 164 guys in my BUDS class, and we graduated 10. So this is kind of like one of those. Right on. Okay, well, we were set out, me, myself. Good Lord. No more Coronas for Marcus. Myself, Michael Murphy, Danny Dietz, and Matt Axelson, who was actually in my brother's BUDS class. My brother's a Navy SEAL. He's overseas right now. He's been over there for 7 months, and hopefully he'll get home here in a couple of weeks, God willing. Thank you. The four of us were set out to do, I was on a special reconnaissance team, sniper team. Our primary mission was to go out and just do that. We sat up and went, and the best way to describe it, I had a lady one day, she tried to ask me, she's like, what do you do? And I'm like, all right, picture this, ma'am. You're laying you're at your house, whatever, and I'll sneak into your backyard, and I'll watch you anywhere from 3 to 5 days, everything you do. I'll write it down, I'll take pictures of you, and then maybe in the middle of the night when you're snuggled up in bed with your husband, I'll come in there and snatch him away from you, and you'll never see him again. I was like, that's my job. She's like, oh my God. I was like, pretty cool, huh? People like me do exist. And regardless of what you've heard, we do that, okay? I'm standing up here, barely, but I'm standing up here telling you that. So we went in to catch this guy, Ahmad Shah, and military intelligence. You know, that's kind of like jumbo shrimp or whatever other, anything else you want to talk about it. We're like the 80 to 200 Taliban fighters. That's what we were up against, and we were dropped into this mountain. I'm like, 80 to 200, that's kind of an obtuse number. I'm going to fight a little different if I'm fighting 80 guys than if I'm fighting 200, because we didn't wear body armor or anything like that. You know, I just had my weapon and some ammo. So we packed up, moved out, and dropped in. Pardon me. And we were set up on the side of this mountain and watching this target. There wasn't much going on, and just like the gentleman said, we were compromised, soft compromised basically is what it's called. Goat herders walked up on us, some villagers that were out walking their herd. So if you can imagine, picture this in your head, a top-secret Navy SEAL mission with us just standing out in the middle of open with 100 goats standing around you, and I'm holding my rifle like this, going, this can't be happening, you know. And our nearest platform for rescue was at least 35 to 40 minutes away. That was our job. We're more like an alert team, like a long-range reconnaissance team. They just drop us off, and we'll say, we'll see you in 5 days. That was our bread and butter, and I loved every minute of it. Well, we turned them loose. Long story short, some stuff went down, and then we relocated, and about all 200 of those Taliban militias showed up on the four of us. And we were on the side of the mountain. Anybody who skis knows what a double black diamond is. If you don't, we had to kick the ground out from underneath us and just lean against the mountain. And to watch the target, I'd lean against some trees and pull up my binoculars or my scope or whatever and watch the guys. Well, I turned around. Mikey had actually seen what was going down, and I rolled over. And the first guy I saw had two AK-47s and an RPG, two RPGs on his back and an AK-47. And then there was about 40 guys standing in front of me, and then I could see them coming down both our flanks. And I was like, all right, it's go time. Let's get it on, you know. I got that sick feeling. I could smell them. You could smell them. Yeah, they don't bathe regularly, which is a good thing. Because once we picked them up, man, I knew it was go time. Well, there's a first guy pulled his head around the tree. I pulled the trigger, and that was the end of him. And then it unleashed hell on us, and here come the firefight. And they pushed us out of this tree line, and we pinballed in there, and then we fell 70 meters to a tree line, and then 50 meters through some boulders and rocks. And I have to tell you, they had the upper hand on us. I mean, this is their backyard. You got to know the thing about Afghanistan is that they've lived there and fought there for thousands of years. They know where to step, they know where to run, they know where to plant their water, plant their ammo, their guns, everything. And they pushed us into a bottleneck, or an hourglass, whatever you want to call it. And we fought hard. My friend Danny was shot immediately. He had the radio, and I was just like, hey, did you get that radio call off? And he was like, man, they blew my thumb off. When he held his hand up and was hanging down by a piece of skin, he's like, can you help me? I'm like, I was the medic. I'm like, can't help you. Can you fight? And he's like, I'll fight. So he jammed a mag in, and we kept going. Only thing was, the only place we could go was 40 feet off the side of this boulder. So we fell off that thing, and they came over the top of us and started spraying AK-47s on top of us, hit Danny 2 more times. We moved around and finally spread out on the mountain where we could start fighting somewhat. And it was like hell had come down on top of us. I mean, 4 against 200 is not very good odds. But we did damage. I mean, we fought and fought and fought, but we kept getting shot. I think by the time Danny, I was holding him up, moving around. I had picked him up and was kind of moving around. He couldn't walk anymore. His legs had been annihilated. And I was like, I got you, man. And I was fixing to jump off this boulder about 15 feet, and he took a round through the air and blew the back of his head off. And hit me in the back of the neck, dropped me down. I broke my nose and bit my tongue in half. And that was the worst part of being shot, because I couldn't breathe through my nose, and I kept swallowing my tongue. And I spent most of the time trying to pull that out, plus all the dirt and everything, the grass and stuff like that, swallowed. Fought our way down, and about an hour, 2 hours had went by, and this was a constant fight. They had unloaded on us with RPGs and mortars, and plus the small arms fire, and there was nowhere we could go. We couldn't push up the sides of the mountain because they had consolidated, and by this time they had come underneath us, so they had us in a 360-degree pin. There was nowhere we could go. So Danny, we had lost Danny, and Mikey had pushed out, just like the gentleman said, to the middle and called back for reinforcements. And when he went back, he pushed back to the left in front of me, and I normally don't talk about this, but he there's a certain tone that a man doesn't, when a man screams, that you should never hear. Like fear. He started screaming my name. He was like, "Help, Marcus!" Kept calling for help, but I couldn't get back up there. Once you fall off one of those boulders, I couldn't climb back up it. I was the only one left, really. And he just kept yelling for me, and I was getting to the point where I was trying to pin my ears. I was like, just quit screaming my name, stop. He was my best friend. He was the officer in charge, I was the team leader, and he was just like, just kept yelling my name, And finally I got quiet, and they killed him. I think he had been shot, 17 times, 18 times. And I turned around and I see Matt, and he actually had sat down beside me, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why don't you keep moving?" He's like, "They shot me, bro. They blew the front of my head off." And I turned around and looked at him, and sure enough, he had taken a round through the front of his head and blown his skull off. And I was just like, he's like, "I can't see, I'm blind." And I was like, "Just start walking down the mountain, I'll catch up with you." So he did. We pushed down. I caught up with him, and we were sitting underneath this rock embankment. An RPG had come in and hit both of us and blew us out from underneath that embankment. And by the time I came to, I was upside down, paralyzed from the waist down, and I didn't know where Matt was. So I started crawling, and a lot of stuff happened to me through that night. I had broken my back, my pelvis, tore my rotator cuff, and gunshot wounds in my back, across the back of my neck, and 11 through and throughs in my knees and my shins. plus all the frag and stuff. And I crawled all night long. I actually fell off the mountain one time. And I kept thinking in my head, I mean, you just keep going. That's my job. That's what y'all pay me for, and this is what my guys would want. This is what being a SEAL is all about. And finally, sun had come up. I was working around, and they had been following me all night, the Taliban, and they shot me again. And I fell 1,500 feet. And I was blacking out and whatever. I started crawling up the mountain again and just kept going. We got into that gunfight exchange, and I won that. Obviously, here I am. It's going to take more than that to bring this boy down. But I crawled. By this time, I had no legs left. I crawled 7 more miles through the mountains and came into the village. I had wandered into this village, make a long story short, and this is the point I'm trying to make. I understand that, and trust me, nobody got more upset than I did, or as upset than I did when they decided to park those jetliners in the Twin Towers. You want to talk about, that's not proper terminology, but I was mad. I remember I cut a picture of a guy out that died in the Twin Towers. I laminated it and kept it in my pocket when I went over there. And I was ruthless to those people. I didn't care anything about them. Anything they stood for, nothing. My main objective was to create as much havoc and terror and chaos on them as they did to those people in the Twin Towers. And this is where I got caught into my dilemma, because when I got pulled into this village, an Afghan village, they saved me. They harbored me from the Taliban. However, the Taliban did come in. They busted in the door about an hour later once I was in the village, and they got a hold of me for a day and a half. And you can probably use your imagination what happens to an American soldier when they have you. But that's water off a duck's back, right? Water under a bridge or whatever. I try not to think about it too much. But they did a pretty good job on me. And then the villagers, they were coming down to cut my head off, and the villagers snuck me out of there and moved me around and threw me in this cave for another 4.5 days, moved me around this village and harbored me from the Taliban. And I remember sitting in that room with them one day and thinking, this is kind of my moral conundrum. I was like, I've spent the better part of this deployment out here just beating the hell out of you guys and just doing everything I could to hurt you. And I didn't care about your customs or your religion or nothing like that. But they saved my life. I mean, I crawl in there bleeding, and I can walk outside right now and get a ride to the hospital if I was laying on the side bleeding. And these people were, their relatives and everybody were getting killed by the Taliban because they had encircled the village. And I was like, I just wanted to say, I didn't speak any Pashtun, and they didn't speak any English. So we had a steep learning curve. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And that's the trouble with Afghanistan, is there are good people there. And there's good people that hate the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. However, they're relatives of Taliban and Al-Qaeda. They take refuge in those villages when the storm gets bad or when they need food or water. It's such a dynamic war. It's I like to say the only thing good comes out of Afghanistan is, nothing really. I mean, opium. I remember this old man hit me with a shot of opium when I was screaming when they were pulling the shrapnel out of my legs. He hit me. I could talk about it. I don't care. But he's like, take this. You take this. I put it in my lip. I wanted to run home. Now I know why they can drive down a road with a car full of explosives and blow themselves up, because you don't care. It's like the best thing in the world. He hit me with that, and I was just like, yeah. Got any more? But there are good people out there, and that's the main thing that these people saved my life. They didn't know who the heck I was, and they brought me in there and did everything they could fought the Taliban, and I owe them my life. However, there are very, very bad people there. And there are very, very bad people here. And I just want to, if I can deliver one message to you guys, I can't tell my whole story. I'm under a time crunch, but you have to realize that they're here in the United States. They just busted an Al-Qaeda cult in my hometown in Willis, Texas, population under 1,000. All right? They're going to hit us again. They're relentless, and all they care about is their religion. It's kind of funny. You're like, hey, I'm this religion, and I believe this, and we're taking it back 2,000 years ago. Oh, hold on, let me answer my cell phone. Like, what, you got a cell phone? I thought you wanted to take it back 2,000 years. What are you talking about? It's just like one of those kind of things. So everybody has their own degree of what they believe in, and it's just a tough fight. All I ask, when I come out and speak is just have patience. We're trying as hard as we can. But once the government steps in and puts the leash around my neck, then I can't do my job. And that's just the way it is. My philosophy on that is like, hey, look, if you're in the government, you do whatever you can. You talk, you negotiate, you debate, everything you can do to keep me from going over there. Once you get me over there, turn your back, close your eyes, because I'm going to frickin' wreck shop. But good things are getting done. I just got back from Iraq and Ramadi and Al Anbar, and you can walk down the road, right? I wouldn't, but I got place as a whole. But we're winning. We are winning. So please, just the American public, keep your chins up, and we'll take care of it. We'll win it. Thank you.